Hi everyone, back again with another little video. Hopefully you're finding some of these useful. They're useful to me, which is why I'm going to continue doing them. And again, it's another little unplanned bit of freestyle about some of the stuff that I do as a mindset coach. So I'm working with individuals in terms of self-transformation, sports performance and health, and I've worked in a couple of other areas as well. So it really is quite applicable to whatever it is that you're doing, because it works not with the content, not with the specific content, but rather with the structure, like the how you're doing what you do and how can you do it better. So it really is useful for everything. Today, what I'm going to talk about is a little phrase, which is the map is not the territory. So what does that mean to you when you hear that? What does that, what does that do? Do you get a picture in your head, or kind of like, is there something that makes you feel a certain way when you hear that? Just noticing what that is. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I experience and what I know about that expression, the map is not the territory. So you've got a map and you've got the territory around you, and what this statement is saying is that the map does not equal the territory. So I'll explain that a little bit from what I understand, and it's that you've created this map. So this map is a creation. Whatever systems and strategies that you've put in place, you've created them. And yes, indeed, you've created them and they line up with other people's strategies as well. And that's great when you get congruence or cohesion with other people's strategies. But what you've got to understand is that everything in your map has come through you. It's come through your understanding of the world. So if you've got all of your sensations and your senses being excited by the world around you, then you are taking that information and processing it in order to turn that into a map. Does that make sense? World comes into your senses, brain, body makes sense of the world, turns it into a handy map that you can then use to interact with the world. So it's very much a loop, because then you're interacting with the world, you get more senses from the world, goes in, and then you get your map and you carry on in that sense. So if there's a cycle, first of all, if there's a cycle, it means that if you can change one part of the cycle, then you can change the quality of that. And often what we're looking at is changing the quality of the map that you're using. So you can get better interactions in the world, you get better feedback, better sensory acuity, and better inputs that you then put into the system again. So very simply, the map is created by your senses making sense of the world around you. Now, there's not really stats the way I've been taught this, it's just that there's a whole lot of information coming at you at any one moment. So the number bandied around is 2 million bits of information, like bombarding you literally at this point in time. So how do you not become overwhelmed? How does anyone not become overwhelmed with that? Well, it's a case of filtering. So there's a system that filters out what you do and don't need, and it generally distorts, it generally generalizes, and it generally deletes information, so that it whittles down into around 7 plus or minus 2 bits or chunks of information that you can make sense of at any one time. Any more than that and it starts not being noticed. So how do you delete, distort and generalize information in order to make this map? Well, you've got to have preferences. And that's where this filter system starts coming into play, because it's being set by yourself. And this can be done very unconsciously, or it can be done very consciously, so that you can start to work with what it is that you want more of in the world. And a very quick example of this system, which is called the reticular activating system, I believe. So it's the classic scenario of if there's something you really want, like a car or a skateboard or a CD, and you really focus on wanting it, and essentially you get it or not, but you're really interested in that thing, then you're basically telling your brain that this is a really important thing for you. So it will give you more of that. It will start, because obviously there's a level where your brain, before it gives you these chunks, these 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information, it's whittling down 2 million things and kind of going, okay, bit here. Ooh, he likes red cars. That's the classic example, the red car. You'll hear more about the red cars, I'm sure, because everybody uses an example. I couldn't help it either, because it reminds me of how this system works. There you go. Okay, that was probably a bit weird. Right, so if I like red cars, and there's a red car coming around, I'm going to be drawn to that red car because it's going to be put into my chunks of information rather than deleted out. So you're deleting, distorting and generalizing information all of the time in order to create a map of the world that makes sense. Now obviously the problem with this is that all of the other things are being forgotten about, which is why your map, whatever that is, does not equal the territory around you. That's all I'm going to say for now on that. What I'm going to do is just bring up the point of like, okay, so if your map doesn't equal the territory, then what about other people's maps? What about everybody? Hold on, everybody's creating their own maps. Okay, so what does that mean in terms of understanding how other people operate? It means that, or it might mean that we're all actually operating on different maps. And so none of us really has a definite idea of what the territory is. Or indeed, and this is the thing, a lot of people will have a belief that their idea is indeed, they've got the perfect map and they've got the perfect reference point for the world. Whereas they're creating that all the time. And everybody's differently creating their maps. So thinking just quickly about, say, somebody that you really didn't get on with at any point, maybe in, earlier today or back in the past at any time, school, whatever, playing sport, and just thinking, okay, so they were creating their own maps and they acted in this way that completely I didn't get on with. So even just asking, well, maybe what was important for them, because they were probably having different stimulus and focusing on different things in their maps, because they're deleting, distorting and generalizing in different ways than you are. So hopefully the intention of this video is just to show you that rather than trying to see like specifically and agreeing specifically with everyone in the world in order to get that kind of peaceful feeling, how about just realizing that everybody is doing it differently? And it's mind-boggling to even think that you could kind of completely integrate your maps together. So coming from really independent points of view, how do you then start to work with somebody in a way that gets exciting, in a way that you can understand that you both do things differently, and how can that make things better? I mean, when you take it like that, surely if you're both looking at things from different angles, when you come together, there's going to be a bonus. There's going to be a way that those two things go together that creates something even better. So that's where it gets even more exciting. Rather than it being everybody has to see it my way, it's everybody sees it their own way, and how can we all work together? Okay, that's what that is. I'll leave it there. There's a lot more to be said on this whole topic. I find it really exciting, and if you do too, do let me know. Share some thoughts with me. Share the video if you like, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great night.